Hi, my name's Dr. Dyann Ross. It's good to be with you today. I'm here to answer the question, at least from my point of view, what is social work? It's a profession that people don't know a lot about, and it can be really confusing when you hear about social work in some contexts and think, what are they doing? Why are they getting that kind of negative press? And what is social work? And so that's what I'm going to give you some quick sense of how I see it. And I've been a social worker for nearly more than 40 years, nearly 50 years. And let me say, there's no straight answer to that question, what is social work? And anyone you ask, any social worker you might ask, would actually tell you something different. But, at the heart of it, I think what you'll hear, the words you'll hear most often when you ask that question, what is social work, is it's about helping people. And I know there's a lot of professions that are about helping people. So what else would you might likely hear? It's also about social justice. And if I had to say what is the most distinctive, defining feature of social work, it would be that idea of social justice, of standing up for people who are being treated unfairly, whose human rights are not being upheld. This is at the core of the social work. Another word that comes up a lot, and these are actually values, not just random words, alongside social justice, human rights, helping people, would be the word respect. And this is about regarding all human beings as having equal rights and equal dignity and the right to be treated fairly and kindly in all situations. So, in fact, the Australian Social Workers Code of Ethics says that the key principles of social work are very similar. They say that they are about social justice and respect. In some parts of the code, they talk about human rights. The other principle that they place really centrally is the principle of professional integrity. And, this is a really important principle, for it's about how the social worker conducts themselves. The idea that the social worker is a key person and a key instrument in how a person is helped is a really big part of what social work education focuses on. So anyway, for the moment, social work is about helping people, standing alongside people as they try to have their needs met in all sorts of different situations and environments, and in particular to stand up and speak for sometimes and speak with people around social justice issues and human rights abuses of all kinds. So it's a really broad area of concern and often defined by where people work. So people can work in child protection field, mental health, juvenile justice. You think of it, aged care, all sorts of family support. Really, you could just keep listing the areas that social workers can be found. And it's not always obvious that they're social workers. They can be meeting you, for example, in emergency as part of a mental health assessment and be called a case manager, not a social worker. And so, there's a bit to what social work is and how you might understand what social work is. But this is what I would say is the defining feature: the ability of the person in the social work role to authentically engage with another human being in a conversation that is about being of service to that person, leading with empathy, a willingness to understand, and a willingness to be present for a person. This, in fact, brings you very closely into other professions' ways of being, including counselling. And in fact, there's some close parallels with counselling as a profession. So that's what social work is to me: making a difference in people's lives for the better, hopefully for what they think is for the better, and doing everything you can to stand up with people who are fighting for social justice and their human rights to be upheld. So that's social work from my perspective in a nutshell. Thanks for joining me.